Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to show you what you can do inside AI Foundry. To begin with, what we will do, we'll select a large language model of our choice, deploy it in AI Foundry, and then test a little bit in the playground. Before we begin that, the prerequisite, you need to own an Azure subscription. That means you have to be part of an Azure subscription as a contributor. Once you have the required RBAC applied to your login, you can go to this ai.azure.com. You can even start from portal.azure.com and it takes you here once you try to deploy a model from there. So either way, it works, but it's easy to remember ai.azure.com. If you come over here, open the portal. So you go to the browser, and then what you do, you just simply open the ai.azure.com in the browser, and once you are challenged, you provide the credential, and then it will take you to the portal. So now you are inside the portal. You can go to the landing page of the AI Foundry. You already see there are projects, Azure OpenAI, etc. created. If you want, you can create a project, new project. So when you say that I want to create a new project, it gives you two options. One is Azure AI Foundry resource. That's the recommended one. You can see that it basically is sort of like a grouping of all the things you might need. And a hub resource is mainly for specific activity regarding machine learning and all these things. So we will select the AI Foundry resource, and then you go here and give a name to the AI Foundry. So let's say that Review Demo, and then once this name is accepted, you can select the subscription you want to deploy it to. And because I'm already logged in, so it picks up the subscription. If you're not logged in, you just can select the subscription. And then this is the AI Foundry resource, which essentially you will see in your Azure portal within this resource group. So it's going to go ahead and create a resource group. You can pick up a resource group if it is already existing, and then you select the region you want to deploy this to. So there are different regions available, and I'm going to select something which I feel would give me a lot more capability. So let's say that I have got a Sweden Central. So I select the Sweden Central, and I can hit on create. Once this is created, this is gonna show up in the Azure AI Foundry portal, and you will find a lot of menu options here. So we'll go one by one, right? But before that, we will see what all models we can deploy. So this is the list of models available for AI Foundry. There are new models getting added, so keep an eye. But if you look into that, you have got around 121 models today, which you can deploy in the AI Foundry. So that's the complete list of models you can deploy. You can select by the company. You can see there are different logos available, which identifies that they're from different providers. It has got um, OpenAI, Microsoft, Mistral, and all other Llama, DeepSeek, all other different models are available. And then you can just go ahead and select and deploy. Now, inside the bottom here, you can see that models and endpoints. If you select here right now, you do not have any model. So what you can do, you can select deploy a base model or deploy a fine-tuned model. So if you deploy a base model, what essentially it will give you the same list of 121 models, but then you can select which model you want to deploy. So let's say I want to deploy a little smaller model, GPT-4o mini, right? So GPT-4o should be fine. So if I go ahead and select that GPT-4o, you can read a little bit about what this model does, and then it has a matching intelligence with GPT-4 Turbo, and then it also talks about various different aspects of it. You can even um, it's a task completion, chat completion, so it's a completion model. So if you start something, it will complete that. So that's what the model is, and that's the latest version which got deployed, I think 2024 in the month of November. So that's the model history about it. And if I hit confirm, it is gonna go ahead and deploy it. It also shows like how many tokens per minute it's going to create. You can even customize that and then change the limit, but it is using the maximum limit of this, right? And then you can also change the behavior about the upgrade. So if you want to upgrade it as soon as the new model is available, you you can choose the default one little older, which is kind of you may have tested it, confirmed the working of it, and then you once you are okay with all those things, and this is the deployment name. The deployment name can change, so I can give it a name as a GPT-4o dev, indicating that this is for my development activity. If I have a production model with the same model, I can say prod. The benefit is that you can deploy the same model in different capacity and give them different ability, right? The tokens per limit for the dev may be less, but in the production, you may want to add more capability, right? So that's the kind of like you see here, there's a playground. So we will dive deeper into the code little later, not in this demo, but later part, we will show how you can access this from your Python code using one of the SDKs you might want to use. But here you get a great playground, which essentially will allow you to actually test the various different prompts. Now, I'm not going to bring my data, right? So I don't need to add the data here, data source here. That's about retrieval augmented generation. If we have to apply, then we will bring our own data. But we will now have this model understand things based on its memory. So it's gonna go ahead and use its memory and get me the output. So I can start by just testing hi, which is not a great prompt, but the model should respond me back saying that, hello, how can I assist you today? So it is basically going to give you an option. So can you tell me when you got trained? I don't know whether it will it is going to give answers. Yes, I was trained on data up to October 2023. So anything which has happened before that, it doesn't know, right? The memory doesn't know. So if you ask for anything about the specifics on certain political activity which is happening, or information about, let's say, today's weather, it's not going to give you that, because this the memory is coming from October 2023. So it is fine. I can test with many different prompts. Now let me tell me, how can I use this LLM with my Python? So if I ask this question, I'm essentially asking for help on how I can write a Python code against this model, and this is going to give me a list of information step by step. So I can pretty much actually install things. So that might not be the right one, so you can be more specific. So it is using OpenAI SDK. So if you want to use different SDK, you have to be explicit. Say that I want to use LangChain or semantic kernel, show me the Python code, then it will show you. So the more elaborate you are, the better and the close answer you're gonna get. So this is how you essentially test the model you have deployed. Now let me go back and show you a couple of other things. Once you deploy the model, you go to the models and points, and then you see the list of models available. Right now only one. You have got a option here to deploy the same model again. So if you choose the same model like GPT-4o Mini, you can still deploy it. So this is essentially for multiple different purposes. So you can have two different applications using the same model but deployed separately so that they are not throttling each other. So and you can also change the configuration, right? And you can increase the quota, that is the quota which you already get, that is 50,000 tokens per minute. That quota can be increased. So you can see that there's a form you can fill up with the first name, last name, company name, subscription ID, and what do you want to do with that. If you want to increase the quota, you can raise a request and see. If you click on edit, it is going to give you the same option which you have seen while deploying it. That means you can choose which model version you want to deploy. These are three supported versions of the same model available for you within the AI Foundry. The newer is the better, but if you are confident, have done the testing in the previous version, you can select the previous version available in this list. But you cannot freeze it. That means eventually if the thing has moved on and then it's out of support, because you have to understand that these are being hosted by its actual publisher. So if let's say the OpenAI doesn't support a certain version, even Azure will not support you that version. So it is that way linked, and hence you don't see all the model versions available, right? Especially when if the model, that specific version has a security vulnerability and they're not upgrading that, you will have to move to the newer version. The content filter is a default behavior, so you can see that it has got certain things built into this model. That means you can't really put a prompt which can indicate as a violence, hate, sexual thing, or self-harm. Let's say suicidal attempt. You cannot ask the step-by-step guidance on how to do certain self-harming things, and then other things like it has a jailbreak capability, protected. So all these things are streaming mode is default one, right? And all these things you can see from here. Now let me cancel it and also show you some metrics of this model. So a lot of time you might have a question about like how my model is behaving. So I just have a kind of um, raised thing, so it doesn't have a lot of data, but if you're using a model for a period of time, you'll be able to see a lot more information in this dashboard. Risk and safety section is where basically it will show you that how much potential risk, right? And then if you want to add a custom content filter, you can add that by yourself. Potential abusive user detection, if it has found any, it will show up. Right now it's a pretty new one. It is not yet hacked by anybody, so you might not find that. So you can see the default content filter is Microsoft default version 2. It is not configurable at this point in time, but this is a good enough data. So you can change the date range. And if you have an issue, let's say in a system, and this is identified, let's say a security incident has happened, not because of this model, but overall you are now investigating on that, you can point to that time duration and observe whether that model was exposed somehow or not. So this is a great way to understand how this is working, right? So you can see a lot more information. So this is also something which you can explore. We will explore a little later on how we can use the SDK. There are different SDKs supported. OpenAI Azure AI Inference, which is a generic one. I like this SDK, but also you have the Azure OpenAI SDK. You can even bring that into semantic kernel, into LangChain. So those are all other options available. So it's not the only option. These are not the only options, but you can go beyond that. There are programming language supported almost any you can ask for. And if you are getting any SDK which supports other programming languages, you can pretty much go ahead and use them. Now, how do you authenticate? Want to authenticate using Entra ID or key authentication, depending on that. The sample here below will show up how you can authenticate. So right now it is saying the key authentication. So I need to provide the key as a text, probably coming from an environment variable file, which is loaded at the load of the application, or something like a keyword I can use if I'm using Azure. And the dependency is needed because it is using OpenAI. If you change the SDK version to Inference SDK, which we will see later,